Alright, let's keep going. See if I can do a better job than my colleague. Which is pretty good though. Number 12, which function best represented by this graph? So there's our graph. So our equation should be slope-intercept form. So mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. So a couple things we can look at. I would start with y-intercept because that's usually pretty straightforward. It's just where our line crosses the y-axis, which is at this point right here, 0, 3, which means the end of our equation should have a plus 3 on it. And that eliminates answer F and answer H. Okay, so halfway there. The other thing we can look at, which might eliminate some choices, if our line is going downhill, that means we have to have a negative slope. So our number here in front of x should be negative something, which also eliminates F and H. Okay, so that didn't help. If you picked F or H, you made a mistake. Alright, so how do we find slope for real? We need the actual number. So slope is just rise over run. So we can just pick 2 points on the line and then see how much it changes by. So we have this point here, our y-intercept. We actually have our x-intercept, which is pretty nice and right in front of us. So we can say from here to there goes up by 3 and over by 6. So our slope is going to be 3 over 6, which simplifies to 1/2. So we know it's going to be 1/2 x. But then we said, since it's going downhill, it's going to be negative 1/2 x. And whatever answer we get for x, give us our y. And this looks like answer J. There you go. Find the y-intercept by looking at the line. Pick 2 points on the line to find slope. Gets you your answer. Okay, that's it. Alright, 13. Jamie used a microscope to measure the diameter of her hair. She found the diameter of the hair was this length here. How is this number written in scientific notation? Okay, so it says diameter, which could be confusing, but it doesn't tell us to do any math with it. So it comes down to what is this number in scientific notation? Okay, so we need to remember that scientific notation always looks like, or it has to start with a number, which I don't know how to spell. Number, E-E-R, between 1 and 10. So if you have any answer choices that don't start with something between 1 and 10, you can cross those out immediately. Fortunately for us, these all say 7.2, so we know it has to start with 7.2. Then always has to be multiplied by 10, because every time we multiply by 10, it moves our decimal 1 place. And then it just comes down to how many times would we move our decimal to go from 0.00072 to 7.2. So we just count our decimal places. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So this is to the 5th power. And since our number is small, right, 0.00072, pretty small, diameter of your hair, if you look at your hair, it's not very thick. So to indicate small numbers, use negative exponents. So anytime it's less than 1, to count back to the right, we use negative exponents, which gives us answer A. So if you pick D, you just counted wrong. You probably counted all the way to the end. Remember, it has to stop whatever makes the number between 1 and 10. And if you picked positive, you just forgot that small numbers, negative exponents. Okay. Alright, 14. Set designer for play, painting some background scenery, large piece of plywood, use a 14-foot pole, that's this one. Hold the plywood upright, here's plywood right here, going top to bottom. What is H, the total height in feet of the piece of plywood? Okay. There's 2 parts of this. One part takes a while, the other part just requires you to remember, which is, this is a right triangle. Okay? Perfect. Yes. Alright. So we have a missing side of a right triangle. Anytime you see, hear, think about missing side of a right triangle, that is Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Which is on your formula chart. You don't have to memorize this. You just have to remember, if you have a right triangle and you're missing a side, this is what you got to use. Okay? So then which numbers go where? Well, the side opposite the right angle has to be the biggest of the three sides, has to be C. So this gets to be 13 squared. These two short sides are interchangeable between A or B. So I'm going to call 5A, because why not? And then I'm going to say B is my missing side right here. And if you say, well, what about this 2 feet? Okay, good call. I'm going to come back to that. That's the second part we don't want to forget. So don't forget there's 2 feet here. Okay, so let me do math. 5 times 5 is 25. B squared, can't do anything with that, just B squared. 13 squared is 169. Then we want to get B by itself. So you could actually, feeling lazy, have a calculator. You can use and solve here. And you could have done that here too, to be honest with you. If you don't have your calculator handy, or want to feel like doing this old school, we can subtract 25 from both sides. So this will cancel out. We're left with B squared on one side equals 144. And if we want to get rid of squaring a number, we do the opposite of squaring a number, which is to take the square root, which gives us B is equal to plus or minus 12. But in this case, since it's the length of a side, it can't be negative 12. You can't have negative side length, so it's just going to be 12. Okay, so that's this piece right here, 12 feet. But that's not the answer. Why not? Because we didn't forget this little 2 feet section here, 2 feet section there. So we have to combine 12 feet and 2 feet, which makes a grand total of, we're going to put this 14 feet. So when you bubble this in, it's my beautiful grid. Yep, there it is. So you'd have a decimal point somewhere. That's fixed. You can't change that. And then your 14 should have gone right next to it. Okay? If you put it on the wrong side of the decimal, answer's wrong. If you put it on the far left over here, not tucked up nice and tight with our decimal point, that would have been marked wrong. It's got to go in the right place. Okay? If, let's see, I feel like they always change it on me. I don't remember if there's a extra column over here for plus and minus. If there is, if you do see this, if your answer is positive, you don't actually have to bubble it in. You just leave it as 14, just like the way we write it. But if it was negative, you do have to bubble in the negative. Okay? That's it, 14. Alright, 15. Which situation represents a proportional relationship? Okay. So if something is proportional, it should look like y equals mx. Or simply put, nothing is added at the end. Okay? So we want just something, which is a rate, times whatever that rate is being multiplied by. So let's look at what we got. So A says cost of purchasing a basket of oranges is $1.30 per pound. Okay, so that would be $1.30 times X, right? Price per pound times number of pounds plus $5. Well, if it has plus 5, it's not proportional, it's not the answer. Let's try again. So B, cost of purchasing peaches for $7 per box, the delivery charge is $3. Okay, so $7 per box, right? $7 for each box times the number of boxes. But again, it says plus a delivery charge of 3. So that can't be right. Remember, we don't want anything at the end. Cost of purchasing grapefruit, $1.80 per pound with a coupon of $1 off. Alright, so this is $1.80 per pound, so $1.80x. A coupon decreases the price. This would be minus $1. But still, that's adding something at the end. We're adding a negative, still adding, so this doesn't work. So we're running out of options here. So letter D, this one tricked me. I had to read it twice. Because I saw plus and I was like, well, I can't be right. It says plus. But let's see what it says. So purchasing apples is $1.75 per pound. So $1.75x plus a shipping fee of 16 cents per pound. Okay, so that's also per pound. So we could say this as 0.16x. And then we could combine this. $1.75 plus 16 cents gives us a grand total of $1 and whoops, that's a bad decimal. $1.91 per pound. So our whole equation is just $1.91x. So even though there's two things here, they're both part of the same rate. So there's nothing actually added here. If you bought 0 pounds of apples, right, you wouldn't pay the per pound, you wouldn't pay the shipping fee, so you still pay $0. Okay, so that's our answer. Okay. 16, this is more reading than anything else. Which table contains only corresponding x and y values where y is 3 more than the quotient of x and 2? Okay, so y is, which means y equals 3 more, so something plus 3 to be at the end. And then the quotient, which is a fancy way of saying divide, x and 2. This is going to look like x over 2 plus 3. So here's our equation. We took these words, turned them into math, so we can work with math. And then we just have to figure out which table works. And if I look at my answers, I'm just going to look at 7 here. Which is nice because if you look, they all have the same x value, and the y value is different for each one. So if we did this correctly, we only have to figure out what y is when x is 7, and we should have a right answer. So let's try it. So what is 7 divided by 2 plus 3? 7 divided by 2 is 3.5 plus 3 is y is 6.5. So when x is 7, y should be 6.5, and that looks an awful lot like answer G. And since it's not any of these, this should be the right answer. But since we're not lazy, we can check this. Let's pick some other number. So what about 10? So what's 10 divided by 2 plus 3? Well, that's 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay, that's good. How about 14 over 2 plus 3? So that's 7 plus 3 more is 10. So that's pretty good. And our last one, so 17 over 2 plus 3. So that's 8.5 plus 3 more is 11.5. Works all the way through. Should you check every single one? If you have time, why not? Since you have like 4 hours to take these tests, you've got time to check all your answers. Don't be in a rush. There's nothing happening after the test anyway. Alright, 17. Coordinates of the vertices quadrilateral are that. It's then reflected over the y-axis to create p prime, r prime, all that. Okay, which rule describes this? So if you know transformations enough, you could probably do this without the graph, but I don't know transformations that well, so I'm going to plot my points. So 1, 2, 1, 4, 3, 4, and 4, 2. So here's my shape. Happy little trapezoid. P, R, S, T. Okay. Now if I'm going over the y-axis, that means I'm moving to the left, so my new points would be here, here, 3, 3, and 4. So here is my new shape. There's R prime, S prime, T prime, P prime. Okay, so I still need to figure out the rule. So what happened? So P was at 1, 2, and then moved to P prime, which is now at -1, 2. So what's the difference? Well, I see that x went from positive to a negative, and y stayed the same. So maybe x changes, y stays the same? Probably. Let's check another point just to be sure. So let's go to t, which started at 4, 2. And where did it go? So now it's at negative 4, 2. So again, y stays the same, but now x is negative. So we have an answer choice that looks like x, y goes to negative x, y, and there it is. Okay. So anytime you're not sure, because it won't always give you this grid. The grid's really helpful in solving these questions. But you have graph paper. So if it doesn't give you a grid, find your graph paper at the beginning of the test, plot your points, look at what you're reflecting across, and then plot your new points. Okay? Otherwise, you need to remember, if you reflect across y, x is the one that changes. And so when you reflect across the x-axis, that's when y changes. If you can't remember those rules, because there's so much math to remember, plot your points, and you can figure it out. Okay? 18. What ordered pairs represents y as a function of x? Okay, so to remember, what is a function? 4 words every time. You say x does not repeat. Got to remember those 4 words. Anytime you see, is it a function? You say x does not repeat. Even if it doesn't mean anything to you, just you see function, say x does not repeat. Now we check our answers. You see, where does x repeat? So we have 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, that went kind of quick. X didn't repeat here. This looks pretty good, but let's check our other answers just to be sure. So we have 0, 1. Uh-oh, there's 1 again. So if it repeats, it can't be a function. Because we said to be a function, x does not repeat. H, 3, 3. Oh, well, we didn't get very far there, did we? 3 repeats, that's not good. 4 also repeats, equally not good. And J, 1, 1. Man, this is the same exact answer, right? Just with different numbers. So again, if x repeats, it's not a function. Something to keep in mind, it's not an issue here. They might throw it at you. Notice how in this one, y also repeats. 3 and 3 as well. If y repeats, that's fine. No one cares. It does not affect whether or not it's a function. The only thing we check for is x. So y can be exactly the same for every single point. That's fine. It's still a function. It's x. Can't repeat. Okay, number 19. Which portion we use to show the slope of PR is equal to the slope of RT? Okay, I can see why people miss this one, because if you look at your answer choices, they're a mess. So let's struggle our way through this. Okay, so we know the slope has to be the same because they're on the same line. Okay, that's not the question. But what it did here is it basically said that the slope, or the rise and run of one part of the line, that rate has to be the same as the rate anywhere else on the line. It's the whole idea here. It's not a very good idea, that it doesn't really mean that much to 8th graders, but whatever. We do it anyway. Someone asked us to. So we're going to see, how did we get our slope for both parts? So let's start on our top triangle. This goes up by 4, over by 3. But it's negative. So slope from PR, right, looks like negative 4 over 3. So when we work these out, one of our ratios should look like negative 4 over 3. Okay? And then our second one goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, oh man, I can't count. This is 8. Sorry. Right? Positive 3, negative 5. That makes 8. And it goes over by 42 is 6. So RT is 8 over 6. Still negative, right? Still going downhill, always in the negative. So you could do this in the calculator, like one number at a time. I'm just going to work them out to the best of my ability. So 3 minus 7 is negative 4. Negative 4, remember anytime minus a negative is the same as plus a positive. So this would be 3. Okay, negative 4 over 3, that's good. This checks out. So if this comes out to negative 8 over 6, we're good. So fingers crossed. All right, so negative 5, negative 3. Ooh, that's negative 8. This is looking good. This is looking good. Confident here. 2 minus negative 4 is the same as 2 plus 4. Hey, guess what? That's 8 over 6. So this gives us the two ratios that we found when we counted using our grid. So this is the correct answer. But since I said it was important to check all of our answers, let's check all of our answers. So B3 minus -4, okay, plus, this is 7. Okay, 7 wasn't a number anywhere. I'm done with this. Alright, letter C, not number C. -4 plus 7, this is +3. And then 3 minus 7 is -4. So 3 over negative, this is run over rise, which is not rise over run. It's not the same ratio. Which doesn't show our slope, so that can't be it. Let's see, in our last one, -4 plus 3. That's -1. Okay. And then -7 minus 7 is -4. That's just bad math. That has nothing to do with anything. Okay, so we didn't really have to check that much. It eliminated our answer choices pretty quickly there. So that's it. A is right because it matches the rates we got when we just counted it by hand. Okay, when in doubt, count by hand. Use your grid. Use your graph paper. You should be asking for more graph paper by the end of the test. Probably won't get it though. Alright, 20 scatter plot shows the average number of hours 13 people spends at home every week and number of hours they spend doing recreation activities. Okay, so we're comparing time you get to do what you want compared to hours worked. So this is a negative relationship. That makes sense, right? The more you work, the less time you have for yourself, which is sad. Working's no fun. I got distracted because now I'm sad. I don't like this question. Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm over it. I'm not sad anymore. Based on scatter plot, what's the prediction? Average number of hours a person spends at work each week. So we want some number on the x-axis. If they get an average of 10 hours on recreational activities. Okay, so we know they get 10 hours here, so I can draw. So I want to cross this line with our trend line, which we haven't made yet. I don't know why we're saving that for last, but we are. Okay, 10 hours of recreation. So if I just look at this, I see the pattern, and I know that my furthest point given is at 50 working hours. And that's not low enough to be our answer. Which means that where it crosses this line has to be somewhere greater than 50. So before I do anything else, no, it's not 50. I know it's not less than 50. 33 hours is way up here at like 22. So it's either going to be 65 hours, and we can mark these points off, 65 or 85. And then we say which of those 2 points, so one of these has to be the answer, and what the heck, we can even put these other ones on here. Here's 33, here's 50. So which of these 4 points best fits the pattern given to us? Which hopefully, after all that work, you're like, oh, this is so easy. Why is he still talking about this? Should look like that. That's a pretty thing. There's our trend line. So notice, we don't hit all the points. That's not the point of a trend line. Some are above, some are below. But you get the general idea of what's happening here. As work hours increases, rec time decreases. And you can see someone who works about 65 hours gets 10 hours to themselves. Just answer J. Okay? So there you go. Spend time now, right? So you can be smart and get a job where you don't have to work 65 hours a week and only get 10 hours of free time, right? Do the math now. Then you get one of these sweet jobs where you only have to work 10 hours a week and you get 35 hours to play 2K or Madden or whatever you're into. Alright, see you on the next part.